The crystal chandeliers scattered fractured light across marble floors as Emma Rosewood smoothed her simple black dress. She'd chosen it deliberately tonight, avoiding the designer gowns hanging in her penthouse closet. At 28, she'd learned that invisibility was its own kind of power. The St. Regis ballroom hummed with wealth. Diamond necklaces caught the low amber lighting. Men in tailored suits discussed mergers over champagne. Emma moved through them like smoke, her trained gaze cataloging faces. Tech moguls, oil tycoons, old money aristocrats. None of them knew the quiet woman in the corner controlled a $12 billion empire. "Excuse me." The voice was warm honey and gravel. Emma turned. James Mitchell stood before her, blue eyes sharp with recognition. Her pulse kicked. She knew him from business journals, financial reports. Mitchell Industries had spent months trying to acquire one of her shell companies, never suspecting who truly owned it. Emma Thompson, right? Her breath caught. She'd never been Emma Thompson, never attended Columbia, never sat in Professor Wilson's economics class. Her education came from private tutors after her parents died when she was 16. "I think you're mistaken," she said softly. He stepped closer. Expensive cologne mixed with the scent of roses from the centerpieces. "No, Columbia. You sat in the back row. Always took notes in that blue notebook." The certainty in his voice made something inside her crack open. This man remembered someone, cared about someone, just not her. "I worked 3 jobs to help you through organic chemistry," he continued, voice dropping. "Your father worked at the lumber mill. Your mother taught elementary school. You were always worried about student loans." The details were so specific, so tender, that Emma found herself nodding. Whoever this Emma Thompson was, she'd mattered to him. "You remember all that?" she whispered. His expression softened. "You saved my academic life. I would have failed without you. I always wondered what happened to you after graduation." Emma stood at a crossroads. She could correct him, walk away, return to her empire, her isolation, her carefully constructed walls. Or she could be someone else, just for a moment. "Life's been challenging," she heard herself say. James's face filled with concern. "Are you okay financially? I know how tough it is out there." Emma almost laughed. Her personal account held more wealth than some nation's GDP. Instead, she lowered her eyes. "I manage. Let me help." He said it like a promise. "You helped me so much. I have connections. I could find you something better. You're brilliant, Emma. You shouldn't be struggling." When was the last time someone wanted to help her without knowing about her billions? When was the last time someone saw just Emma? "I work in consulting," she said vaguely. "Business strategy." "Perfect." His whole face lit up. "My company needs fresh perspectives on tech integration. Here." He pressed a business card into her hand. Heavy paper, embossed lettering. "My direct line. Call me tomorrow. We'll set something up." Emma's fingers traced the card's edge. "This is generous. It's the least I can do. You have no idea how much your tutoring meant. I was pre-med, completely lost. You made everything make sense." She filed that away. Pre-med, dreams abandoned. "But now you're in business." His expression darkened. "My father had other plans. Mitchell Industries needed an heir. My older brother wasn't suitable. I'm sorry. Don't be. I've made peace with it. Besides, now I can help old friends when they need it." The way he looked at her when he said old friends made her stomach flip. Most men were either intimidated by her reputation or interested only in her wealth. James looked at her like she was precious. "Worth protecting. Would you like to dance?" She should say no. Should end this before it became real. Instead, she placed her hand in his. The dance floor swallowed them. His palm rested against her waist, warm through the thin fabric of her dress. Jazz drifted through the ballroom, slow and aching. Emma breathed in cedar and citrus cologne, felt the steady rhythm of his heartbeat where their chests nearly touched. "You're a good dancer," she observed. "Boarding school. They forced us into ballroom lessons. I hated it then. Sounds lonely." It was. His voice went quiet. "That's why I remember college so fondly. First time I could be myself. Make real friends. People like you." Guilt twisted through her chest. But beneath it, something else bloomed. Something warm and dangerous. "Tell me about your business," she said. His enthusiasm was infectious. He described Mitchell Industries, expansion plans, frustrations with outdated systems. Emma mentally cataloged every mistake his company was making, every failed strategy. The tech sector is brutal, James continued. These mysterious companies come out of nowhere with revolutionary products. Like quantum dynamics. Emma's heart stopped. Quantum dynamics, her crown jewel, her most secretive venture. They've been acquiring smaller firms, revolutionizing industries. Nobody knows who runs it. The CEO never makes public appearances. It's like fighting a ghost. Sounds intriguing, she managed. Frustrating is more like it. He laughed, pulling her slightly closer. But enough about work. Tell me about you. What have you been doing all these years? She was at the edge of a cliff. She could step back. Tell the truth. Walk away clean. Or she could jump. I've been surviving, she said. The most honest thing she'd said all night. Well, now you've got someone in your corner. His voice was fierce, protective. I meant what I said about helping. I remember how kind you were. How patient. The world needs more people like you, Emma. The song ended. She made her decision. I'd like that, she whispered. Very much. James squeezed her hand. Good, because I have a feeling this is the beginning of something special. He had no idea how right he was. Or how dangerous. Across the ballroom, a man watched from the shadows near the bar. Oliver Hamilton raised his champagne glass, a slow smile spreading across his face. He recognized Emma Rosewood immediately, and he was very interested in seeing what game she was playing with poor, unsuspecting James Mitchell. The night was far from over, and the stakes were about to get much, much higher. 3 days later, Emma stood in her penthouse office, 30 floors above Manhattan. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the waking city below. James's business card sat on her mahogany desk. Proof the gala hadn't been a dream. Her assistant, Rachel Torres, knocked and entered with coffee and a tablet loaded with morning reports. Your 9 a.m. with the Goldman team is confirmed, Rachel said. Also, Mitchell Industries requested another meeting about the quantum dynamics merger. Should I decline again? Emma's fingers tightened around her coffee cup. Accept it. Rachel's eyebrows shot up. Accept? You've been avoiding them for months. Schedule it for next week, but don't send them the usual team. Emma turned from the window. I'll take it myself. You never take meetings with potential acquisition targets. Personally, consider it a change in strategy. Rachel studied her with the shrewd gaze of someone who'd worked for Emma for 6 years. This wouldn't have anything to do with James Mitchell, would it? The one whose company we're quietly dismantling from the inside. Emma's phone buzzed before she could answer. Unknown number. Her heart knew before her mind did. Emma, it's James. From the gala. His voice sent electricity down her spine. She waved Rachel away, watching her assistant's knowing smirk as she left. James, hi. I hope it's okay that I called. I got your number from the gala registration list. He sounded almost nervous. I wanted to see if you were free for lunch today. To discuss that consulting opportunity. She should say no. Should end this cleanly. What time? Noon? There's this Italian place in Midtown. Rossini's. Nothing fancy? Nothing fancy. Emma owned the building Rossini's occupied. She'd had lunch with senators in its private dining room. Sounds perfect, she said. The restaurant was intimate, all exposed brick and soft lighting. James was already there when she arrived, wearing a charcoal suit that fit him like a promise. He stood when he saw her, that same warm smile from the gala lighting his face. You came, he said, as if he doubted she would. Of course. He pulled out her chair, ordered wine without pretension, and when he looked at her across the table, Emma felt the careful architecture of her life beginning to crack. I've been thinking about you, James admitted, about how strange it is that we lost touch after college. I tried to find you on social media, but there's nothing. Because I'm not her, Emma thought. Because I'm a ghost wearing someone else's name. I prefer privacy, she said instead. I get that. After my father died 2 years ago, the press was relentless. Everyone wanted a piece of Mitchell Industries. Sometimes I wish I could just disappear. Emma's research had been thorough. She knew about his father's death, the hostile takeover attempts, his brother's scandal that forced James to abandon medicine and take control of the family business. That must have been impossible, she said softly. You're the first person who's made it feel less so. He reached across the table, fingers brushing hers. Being with you, it's like I can breathe again. The waiter brought their food. Emma barely tasted it. She was too focused on James, on the way his eyes crinkled when he laughed, the passion in his voice when he talked about wanting to transform his company into something meaningful. "The board fights me on everything," he said, frustration bleeding through. "They want to maintain the status quo, keep bleeding money rather than take risks. There's this technology division we need to overhaul completely, but they refuse to invest." Emma knew exactly which division. She'd been systematically poaching their best engineers for months, rebuilding their innovations under quantum dynamics. What if you had outside help? She heard herself say. Someone who could analyze the systems, identify the problems, present solutions the board couldn't ignore? James leaned forward. "You could do that?" "I could." "Emma, I can't ask you to take on something this massive for whatever consulting rate you're charging. This would be months of work. Then don't pay me." The words came out before she could stop them. "Let me do this because I want to help. Because you helped me once." The lie tasted like ash, but the look on his face made it almost worth it. "I couldn't," he protested. "You could. Let me prove myself. If I solve your problems, then we talk about compensation." He studied her for a long moment. "You're remarkable. You know that?" No one had ever called her remarkable for wanting to work. They'd called her ruthless, calculating, a shark in designer heels. "So is that a yes?" she asked. "It's a hell yes," he grinned. "But on one condition." "What?" "Have dinner with me, tonight, somewhere nicer than this." "Let me thank you properly," warning bells screamed in Emma's head. Dinner was personal. Dinner was dangerous. "Okay," she whispered. That evening, Emma stood in her penthouse closet, staring at rows of designer dresses. She chose something simple again, navy blue, elegant but understated. Rachel appeared in the doorway. "You're making a mistake. I know. He's the enemy. Mitchell Industries is our biggest competitor. You're about to destroy his company. I know that too. Then why?" Emma met her assistant's gaze in the mirror. "Because for the first time in 10 years, someone wants me without wanting something from me. Even if it's based on a lie. That's not going to end well." "I know." The restaurant James chose was breathtaking. A rooftop garden in Soho, string lights woven through ivy, the city glittering below like scattered diamonds. He was waiting by the railing, and when he saw her, his expression shifted into something that made Emma's breath catch. "You're beautiful," he said simply. They ate, talked, laughed. James told her about his brother, about the pressure of being the responsible son, about dreams of medicine he'd buried for duty. Emma found herself sharing truths she'd never spoken aloud. About losing her parents, about inheriting everything at 16, about the loneliness of being responsible for thousands of employees, billions of dollars, decisions that could change lives. She just left out the part where she was one of the most powerful people in the room at any given moment. "You carry a lot," James said quietly. "I can see it in your eyes. So do you. Maybe that's why I feel like I can talk to you. Like you understand." He reached for her hand. Emma let him take it. "I want to kiss you," he said. "Is that insane?" "We just reconnected. It was insane. It was reckless. It was the worst possible decision." "Yes," Emma breathed. His lips met hers, and the city fell away. There was only James, only the taste of wine and wanting, only the feeling of being wanted back without performance or pretense. When they finally broke apart, Emma was trembling. "Come home with me," James whispered against her mouth. She should say no, should protect them both from what came next. Yes, his apartment was all glass and steel, minimalist and cold, but his bedroom was warm, intimate, filled with books and photographs. He kissed her like she was oxygen, like he'd been drowning and she was air. Emma let herself fall. Afterward, wrapped in his sheets with city lights painting patterns on the ceiling, James traced lazy circles on her bare shoulder. "I don't want this to end," he said. "I know it's fast. I know it's crazy. But I haven't felt this way since—" He stopped. "Since what?" "Since college. Since that Emma Thompson who helped me through chemistry and made me laugh and made me feel like the world wasn't just duty and expectation." Emma's heart cracked wide open. "James, I know you probably think I'm romanticizing a memory, Maybe I am, but being with you now, it's like finding something I didn't know I'd lost. She should tell him, right now, before this went any further. Instead, she kissed him again. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. You should check that, James murmured. Emma reached for it, her blood turning to ice when she saw the message. Unknown. Enjoying your evening, Ms. Rosewood? Or should I call you Ms. Thompson? We need to talk. Tomorrow. Noon. The plaza. Come alone, or James learns everything. Oliver Hamilton James propped himself up on one elbow. Everything okay? Emma's hands shook. Oliver Hamilton. Venture capitalist, ruthless, connected. And apparently, he knew exactly who she was. Just work, she managed. I have to go. Now? It's almost midnight. I'm sorry. She was already sliding out of bed, gathering her clothes. Emergency meeting. Emma, wait. James caught her wrist. Did I do something wrong? No, God, no. She kissed him quickly, desperately. I'll call you tomorrow. She fled before he could see the tears. In her town car heading home, Emma stared at Oliver's message. He'd been watching her at the gala, had probably been watching her for weeks. And now he was about to destroy everything. The plaza's palm court dripped with old money and whispered secrets. Emma arrived at noon exactly, her armor back in place, Valentino suit, Louboutin heels, hair swept into a merciless bun. She'd spent the night pacing her penthouse, running scenarios, preparing for war. Oliver Hamilton sat at a corner table, silver hair gleaming under the chandeliers. He smiled when he saw her, the smile of a snake who'd already swallowed its prey. Ms. Rosewood, so glad you could make it. Emma slid into the chair across from him, every muscle coiled tight. What do you want? Straight to business. I've always admired that about you. He sipped his coffee, taking his time. I want quantum dynamics. Not for sale. Everything's for sale. You taught me that, actually. That ruthless little hostile takeover you pulled on Meridian Tech 3 years ago. Brilliant. Cold-blooded. You dismantled them in 6 weeks. Emma's jaw tightened. Oliver. I've been watching you for months, trying to find leverage. And then you handed it to me at the gala. He leaned forward. James Mitchell, the man whose company you're systematically destroying while sleeping with him. Does he know who you really are? That's none of your business. It became my business when I realized I could use it. Oliver pulled out his phone, scrolled through photos. Emma at the gala with James. Emma entering his apartment building. Emma leaving at midnight, clothes disheveled. Imagine how devastated he'll be when he discovers the truth, that the woman he thinks is his college sweetheart is actually the billionaire dismantling his life's work. That every word from your mouth has been a lie. Emma's hands clenched beneath the table. You're blackmailing me. I prefer to think of it as negotiating from a position of strength. Oliver smiled wider. Sell me quantum dynamics at a 40% discount, or I tell James everything. You have 48 hours. Quantum dynamics is worth $12 billion. Then you'll still walk away with over $7 billion. Surely that's enough to soothe your conscience. Emma's mind raced. Quantum dynamics was more than money. It was her legacy, her proof that she'd built something meaningful beyond her inheritance. It represented 10 years of work, innovation, risk, but James. I need time, she said. You have 48 hours. Not a second more. Oliver stood, buttoning his jacket. Oh, and Emma? Don't try anything clever. I have copies of everything stored in multiple locations. If anything happens to me, it all goes to James automatically. He walked away, leaving Emma alone in the opulent room, her empire crumbling around her. Her phone rang. James. Hey, he said, voice warm. I know you had an emergency last night, but I was hoping we could grab lunch. I want to hear your thoughts on the Mitchell Industries assessment. Emma closed her eyes. I can't today. Dinner? James, Emma, is something wrong? You sound upset. Everything was wrong. Everything was falling apart. I'm fine. Just stressed with work. Then let me help distress you. Come over tonight. I'll cook. We can forget about business for a few hours. The kindness in his voice was a knife between her ribs. Okay, she whispered. Tonight. She spent the afternoon in her office, staring at contracts, financial reports, legal documents. Rachel came and went silently, reading the storm in Emma's expression. By evening, Emma had made her decision. She arrived at James's apartment with a bottle of wine and a heart full of thorns. He answered the door in jeans and a worn Columbia t-shirt, flour dusting his hands. "You're cooking," she observed. "Attempting to cook. There's a difference." He pulled her inside, kissing her softly. "I'm making pasta. Or what was supposed to be pasta. It might be a crime scene." The domesticity of it broke something inside her. This was what she'd never allowed herself. This warmth, this simplicity, this dangerous, beautiful thing called love. They ate at his kitchen island, laughing at his culinary disaster, drinking wine, touching hands across the counter. For a few hours, Emma let herself pretend this was real. "I need to tell you something," James said finally, setting down his glass. Emma's stomach dropped. "What?" "I've been doing some research on you." "Emma Thompson." Her blood turned to ice. "I couldn't find anything," he continued. "No social media, no digital footprint, nothing from college. It's like you didn't exist before that gala." "James, let me finish." He took her hands. "I don't care. Whatever you're running from, whatever secrets you're keeping, I don't care. Because the woman sitting here with me right now, she's real, and I'm falling for her." Emma felt tears burning behind her eyes. "You don't know what you're saying." "I know exactly what I'm saying." His grip tightened. "I know you're not who you told me you were. I figured it out 2 days ago, but I also know that when you look at me, when you touch me, that's not a lie." "Is it?" She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. "Is it, Emma?" "No," she choked out. "That part's real." "Then that's all that matters." He cupped her face. "Whatever else you're hiding, we'll figure it out together. But please don't run. Don't disappear on me." Emma stood abruptly, wine sloshing in her glass. Her hands shook. "You don't understand. Then help me understand." This was it. The moment. She could tell him everything. Beg forgiveness. Hope that what they'd built could survive the truth. Or she could protect him from Oliver's blackmail by destroying herself first. "I'm Emma Rosewood," she said quietly. James frowned. "I don't quantum dynamics. Rosewood Technologies. The shell corporation's trying to acquire your company." Each word felt like swallowing glass. "That's me. I'm the ghost you've been fighting." The color drained from his face. "What?" "I own quantum dynamics. I've been systematically buying out your suppliers, poaching your engineers, undercutting your contracts. I've been destroying Mitchell Industries for 2 years. James stumbled backward. "No, that's not possible. I'm worth $12 billion. I never went to Columbia. I never knew the real Emma Thompson. I let you believe I was her because I wanted someone to see me as normal, as human. I wanted to feel wanted for something other than my money. You lied to me." His voice was hollow. "About everything. Not about my feelings." "Those were real. Your feelings?" James laughed, bitter and broken. "You've been destroying my life. My company, everything my father built. And you did it while pretending to care about me. I do care about you. Get out. James, please, get out." His shout echoed through the apartment. "You're exactly what I thought I was escaping. Another ruthless billionaire playing games with people's lives. I thought you were different. I thought you were her." Emma's tears finally fell. "I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference." He turned away, shoulders rigid. "I never want to see you again." Emma grabbed her coat, her purse, her shattered heart. At the door, she stopped. "For what it's worth, falling for you wasn't part of the plan, and I would give up everything I have to take it all back." "But you won't," James said without turning around, "because people like you never do." Emma walked out, knowing he was right. In her town car, she dialed Oliver Hamilton. "I accept your terms," she said when he answered. "I'll sell you quantum dynamics. Smart choice, Ms. Rosewood. On one condition. You never contact James Mitchell. You never tell him about the blackmail. As far as he knows, I confessed on my own." Oliver paused. "Why?" "Because he deserves to hate me for the right reasons." "How noble. Fine. Done. I'll have my lawyers draw up the contracts." Emma ended the call and stared out at Manhattan's glittering skyline. She'd built an empire, She'd lied to protect it. And in the end, she'd sacrificed it anyway, for a man who now hated her, for a love that had never really been hers to keep. Her phone buzzed. Rachel. Rachel. Oliver Hamilton just issued a press release. He's announcing the quantum dynamics acquisition. But Emma, there's something else. He's also releasing details about your relationship with James. Every photo, every meeting. He's framing you as a corporate seductress who manipulated James to destroy Mitchell Industries. Emma read the message 3 times, ice spreading through her veins. Oliver had betrayed her. He'd taken everything and destroyed her reputation anyway. Within an hour, every news outlet in the country was running the story. Billionaire heiress seduces rival CEO in elaborate corporate conspiracy. Emma's face was everywhere, alongside photos of her with James. Her phone exploded with calls. Board members, investors, lawyers. She ignored them all, because there was only one call that mattered. And it came at midnight. You made me a laughingstock. James's voice was ice over broken glass. The entire business world thinks I'm an idiot who fell for a honeypot scheme. James, I didn't. Save it. Oliver Hamilton gave an interview. He explained everything, how you planned this from the beginning, how you targeted me specifically, how every moment between us was calculated to destroy me. That's not true. Oliver is lying. He blackmailed me. I gave him quantum dynamics to protect you. Protect me? You've destroyed me. Mitchell Industries stock has crashed. The board is calling for my resignation. My reputation is ruined. I'm sorry. God, James, I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. But I can. Something in his tone made Emma's blood run cold. What do you mean? I'm coming for you, Emma. I'm going to dismantle your empire the way you dismantled mine. I'm going to take everything you have left. And when I'm done, you'll understand exactly how I feel right now. James. The line went dead. Emma sat in the darkness of her penthouse, 30 floors above a city that had turned against her, and realized she'd lost everything that mattered. And the man she loved was about to make sure she lost everything else, too. 6 weeks later, Emma's empire was bleeding. James Mitchell had become a different man. Cold, calculated, ruthless. He'd rallied his board, stabilized Mitchell Industries, and launched a coordinated attack on every company Emma controlled. He was brilliant at it. Surgical. Merciless. Emma watched from her penthouse as he systematically dismantled her remaining holdings. Hostile takeovers, supplier boycotts, legal challenges. He'd even convinced 3 of her key executives to defect, taking proprietary technology with them. Rachel entered with coffee Emma wouldn't drink, and reports Emma already knew by heart. Rosewood Technologies stock dropped another 12%. The Singapore deal fell through. Marcus Chen just accepted a position with Mitchell Industries. Marcus has been with me for 8 years. James offered him triple salary and a vice presidency. Rachel set down the tablet. Emma, you need to fight back. You're letting him destroy you. I deserve it. That's the grief talking. No, that's the truth. Emma turned from the window. She'd lost 15 pounds. Hadn't slept through the night since James's last call. I destroyed his company first. His father's legacy. This is just karma. Karma doesn't typically involve corporate espionage and character assassination. Emma's phone rang. Unknown number. Her heart lurched the way it did every time, hoping impossibly that it might be James. It wasn't. Ms. Rosewood, this is Daniel Park. I'm an investigative journalist with the Financial Times. Emma closed her eyes. Another reporter circling the corpse of her reputation. I'm not interested in an interview. I'm not asking for one. I'm calling because I've been investigating Oliver Hamilton, and I think you've been set up. Emma's attention sharpened. What? Hamilton has a pattern. He targets successful people, manufactures scandals, then swoops in to buy their companies at bargain prices. I have evidence he orchestrated your entire downfall. Why are you telling me this? Because James Mitchell just hired me to dig up more dirt on you. But what I found instead was evidence that Hamilton fabricated the narrative about your relationship. Those photos, they were taken by a private investigator Hamilton hired weeks before the gala. He was planning this from the beginning. Emma sank into her chair. James hired you to destroy me further? He did, but I don't think he knows the truth. Hamilton convinced him you were running a long con, that you'd targeted him specifically as part of a corporate strategy. I need to see this evidence. I'll send everything to your secure email. But Ms. Rosewood, James Mitchell is about to do something drastic. He's planning a final move that will bankrupt you completely. You have maybe 48 hours, the call ended. Emma's hand shook as she opened her email, scrolling through Daniel Park's files. It was all there. Oliver's pattern of destruction. The private investigator's reports dated weeks before the gala. Communications proving Oliver had manipulated the entire situation, and something else. Something that made Emma's blood turn to ice. Oliver hadn't just been targeting her. He'd been targeting James too, planning to acquire Mitchell Industries once James had bankrupted himself, destroying Emma. They'd both been pawns in a larger game. Rachel, Emma said quietly, get me a meeting with James. Today. I don't care what it takes. He won't see you. He's refused every attempt at contact for 6 weeks. Then I'll go to him. Mitchell Industries occupied a gleaming tower in Midtown. Emma walked through the lobby in a simple black dress, no jewelry, no armor. Just herself. Security stopped her at the elevators. I need to see James Mitchell. Do you have an appointment? No, but tell him Emma Rosewood is here. Tell him I have information about Oliver Hamilton that he needs to see. The guard made a call, listened, frowned. Mr. Mitchell says you're not welcome here. Tell him Oliver Hamilton played us both. Tell him I can prove it. Tell him I'm not leaving until he listens. Another call, a longer pause. Mr. Mitchell will give you 5 minutes. Top floor. The elevator ride felt eternal. Emma's reflection in the polished doors showed a woman who'd lost everything. Wealth. Empire. Love. And was about to lose even the chance at redemption. The doors opened to a reception area of steel and glass. James's assistant led her to a conference room where James stood by the windows, his back to her. He'd changed too. Thinner. Harder. The warmth that had drawn her to him was gone, replaced by ice. 5 minutes, he said without turning. Talk. Emma set the tablet with Daniel Park's evidence on the conference table. Oliver Hamilton set us both up. Everything that happened was orchestrated by him. I know what Oliver did. He told me himself. You sold him your company to hide your crimes. No. He blackmailed me. Said he'd tell you everything if I didn't sell. I gave him quantum dynamics to protect you. James finally turned. His eyes were empty. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to look at the evidence. Emma pushed the tablet toward him. The photos? Taken by a private investigator Hamilton hired before we ever met. The press release? He wrote it weeks in advance. The interviews? All planned before I confessed anything to you. Why would he do that? Because his endgame wasn't just me. It was both of us. Look at the last file. James picked up the tablet, scrolling through documents. Emma watched his expression shift from skepticism to confusion to dawning horror. These are acquisition plans for Mitchell Industries. Dated 3 months ago. Oliver was planning to bankrupt us both, then buy your company for pennies. We were never enemies. We were both his targets. James set down the tablet, his hands shaking. You're lying. This is another manipulation. Daniel Park compiled that evidence. The journalist you hired to destroy me. Call him yourself. I will. James pulled out his phone, dialing. The conversation was brief, terse. When he hung up, his face had gone white. Park confirmed everything. Oliver Hamilton played us against each other. Used my feelings for you as leverage. Used your hatred of me as a weapon. Emma's voice cracked. Everything I did, every lie I told, it started as deception. But falling for you? That was real. And destroying my own empire to protect you from Oliver's blackmail? That was real too. You should have told me the truth from the beginning. I know. And I'll spend the rest of my life regretting that I didn't. Emma moved closer, though she didn't touch him. But right now, Oliver is about to acquire Mitchell Industries through a shell corporation. You've spent 6 weeks destroying me instead of protecting yourself. Your company is vulnerable. James's jaw clenched. How vulnerable? You'll lose everything in 72 hours unless we stop him. We? I've lost quantum dynamics, most of my holdings, my reputation, but but I still have enough resources and knowledge to help you save your father's legacy. Emma met his eyes. Let me help you. Not because you owe me, not because of what we were, but because it's the right thing to do. Why would you help me after everything I've done to you? Because I love you. The words came out raw, honest. I loved you when I was lying. I loved you when you hated me. I love you now. Even though I know you'll never feel the same way again. So let me do this one good thing. Let me save your company, and then I'll walk away. James stared at her for a long moment. Emma watched emotions war across his face. Anger, betrayal, confusion, and underneath it all, something that looked almost like pain. If we do this, he said finally, it's purely business, nothing more. I understand. And when it's over, you disappear. I never want to see you again. The words were bullets, but Emma absorbed them without flinching. Agreed. James pulled out his phone again. Get me the board. Emergency meeting in 1 hour. And find me everything on Oliver Hamilton's corporate structure. He looked at Emma one last time, his expression unreadable. Don't make me regret this. I won't, Emma whispered. They worked through the night. Emma and James side by side in his conference room, rebuilding what they'd both destroyed. She showed him the vulnerabilities in Oliver's shell corporations, the legal loopholes, the financial leverage points. James was brilliant. He saw patterns she'd missed, strategies she hadn't considered. Together, they built a counterattack that would dismantle Oliver's entire operation. As dawn broke over Manhattan, they had a plan. This might actually work, James said. Studying the financial projections, it will work. Oliver got arrogant. He didn't expect us to figure it out. James rubbed his eyes, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. Emma wanted to reach for him, to smooth away the tension in his shoulders, to tell him everything would be okay. But she had no right to touch him anymore. There's one problem, James said. To execute this plan, I need capital I don't have. Oliver's attacks drained my reserves. I'm overextended. Emma had known this moment would come, had known what it would cost. I have capital, she said quietly. Emma, not much, but enough. The last of my liquid assets. Approximately 200 million. I can't take your money. You're not taking it. I'm investing it in the company that should have been yours all along, without my interference. James looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time since she'd walked into his office. This would bankrupt you, completely. You'd have nothing left. I'd have the knowledge that I did something right, that I saved something that mattered. Emma pulled out her phone, fingers hovering over the transfer authorization. All I need is your word that you'll use it to destroy Oliver. Why are you doing this? Because some things matter more than money. I learned that from you. She smiled, sad and genuine. You taught me what it felt like to be wanted for myself. That was worth more than $12 billion. This is just 200 million. It's easy, James's throat worked. I don't deserve this. Probably not. But your employees do. Your father's legacy does. The innovation and hope your company represents does. Emma hit the button, watching 8 figures vanish from her account. There, it's done. James stared at his phone as the notification came through. $200 million. Her entire remaining fortune. Emma, don't. She stood, gathering her things. We have work to do. Oliver makes his move in 60 hours. Let's make sure he regrets every second of it. They spent the next 2 days executing the plan. Emma worked from James's conference room, sleeping on his office couch, living on coffee and determination. She watched James command his team with fierce intelligence. Saw him rebuild what she'd helped destroy, felt her heart break a little more with every passing hour. Because she loved him. And he would never forgive her. On the final night, as they waited for the markets to open in Hong Kong where Oliver's Shell Corporation was registered, James brought her coffee. You should eat something, he said. I'm fine. You haven't eaten in 20 hours. James, just eat the damn sandwich, Emma. She took the sandwich. Their fingers brushed. The contact was electric, painful, everything. When this is over, James said quietly, what will you do? You'll have nothing. I'll figure something out. I'm resourceful. That's not an answer. Emma met his eyes. I'll disappear. Like I promised. Start over somewhere. Maybe actually be the person I pretended to be with you. Someone normal. Someone real. You were real with me. The lies were about circumstances, not feelings. Does that make a difference? James looked away. I don't know anymore. The Hong Kong markets opened. Emma and James watched their counterattack execute with perfect precision. Within 3 hours, Oliver Hamilton's empire was collapsing. His shell corporations crumbled. His acquisitions reversed. His reputation destroyed by the same media machine he'd used against them. By sunrise, Oliver Hamilton had lost everything, and Mitchell Industries was saved. James's team erupted in cheers. Champagne appeared. People celebrated. Emma slipped out quietly, taking the elevator down 30 floors, walking out into the Manhattan morning alone. She'd saved him. That was enough. Her phone buzzed as she reached the sidewalk. James, where are you? Emma, gone, like I promised. James, Emma, wait. I need to talk to you, Emma. You don't owe me anything. Your company is safe. That's all that matters. She turned off her phone and hailed a cab, watching Mitchell Industries' tower disappear behind her. It was over. She'd lost everything. But for the first time in her life, Emma Rosewood felt like maybe, just maybe, she'd found something that mattered more than winning. 3 months later, Emma sat in a small cafe in Portland, Oregon, the city where the real Emma Thompson had supposedly grown up, where lumber mills and modest dreams painted a different life than the one Emma had lived. She'd been working as a consultant for small businesses, using cash she'd saved in an emergency account James never knew about. $50,000, enough to start over, to be nobody, to disappear into the kind of ordinary life she'd once pretended to live. Her apartment was a studio above a bookstore. Her clothes came from thrift stores. She took the bus, and she was almost happy. Almost. Because every night she dreamed of James. His smile. His touch. The way he'd looked at her before the truth destroyed everything. Rachel called weekly, begging her to come back, to rebuild. But Emma always said no. Some bridges, once burned, couldn't be rebuilt. Some losses were permanent. The cafe door opened. Emma glanced up from her laptop and her heart stopped. James Mitchell stood in the doorway, scanning the room. When his eyes found hers, something in his expression cracked. He'd found her. Emma's first instinct was to run, but her body wouldn't move. She could only watch as James crossed the cafe and slid into the seat across from her. You're hard to track, he said. No digital footprint. No credit cards. You really did disappear. I promised I would. I didn't want you to. Emma's hands tightened around her coffee cup. James, please don't let me talk. I've spent 3 months trying to hate you, trying to convince myself that everything between us was a lie. He leaned forward, his voice rough. I couldn't do it. You should go. There's nothing here for you. That's where you're wrong. James pulled something from his jacket, a blue notebook. Old, worn, filled with handwritten notes. I found her. The real Emma Thompson. She lives in Seattle now, teaches chemistry at a high school, married with 2 kids. Emma's breath caught. You found her? I needed to know. Needed to understand what I'd been holding on to all these years. James opened the notebook, showing pages of chemistry equations and doodles. She gave me this. Said she did tutor me, but we were never close. Just study partners. The connection I remembered. The importance I'd placed on those memories. That was all in my head. James, I was in love with an idea. A memory I'd romanticized because my real life was so controlled, so suffocating. That college girl represented freedom. He set the notebook on the table. But you, Emma, you were real. Even when you were lying about your name, your background, everything else. Your feelings were real. I see that now. Emma felt tears burning behind her eyes. It doesn't change what I did. I destroyed your company, lied to you, used you. You also saved my company, bankrupted yourself to protect me, gave up everything because you loved me. James reached across the table, covering her hand with his. Oliver Hamilton orchestrated all of this. He manufactured the circumstances. But what happened between us, that was real. And I was an idiot for not seeing it sooner. You were hurt. You had every right to be angry. I was. I am, but I also love you. And I've spent 3 months trying to convince myself I didn't. His grip tightened. It didn't work. So I hired a dozen investigators to find you, flew across the country, and now I'm sitting here, asking you to give me another chance. Emma pulled her hand away, standing abruptly. Her chair scraped against the floor. You don't know what you're asking. I'm not that person anymore. I'm not a billionaire. I'm not powerful. I'm nobody. You were never nobody. James stood too. You were someone who was so lonely that you pretended to be a struggling consultant just to feel normal. Someone who gave up $12 billion because you felt guilty. Someone who bankrupted herself to save a man who hated her. I deserved your hate. Maybe. But I don't hate you anymore. I understand you. He moved closer. You were raised to be ruthless. To see business as war. But underneath all that, you just wanted to be seen. To be wanted for something other than your last name or your bank account. Emma's tears finally fell. I don't know how to be with someone. I don't know how to be honest. I've been performing my entire life. Then stop performing. Be real with me. Like you were that night on the rooftop. Like you were in my apartment before everything fell apart. James cupped her face, thumbs brushing away her tears. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to try. What if I hurt you again? What if you don't? He smiled, sad and hopeful. Emma, I've spent 3 months being miserable without you. I'd rather be occasionally hurt by you than permanently empty without you. That's not a healthy relationship dynamic. Probably not. But we've never done anything the healthy way, have we? Despite everything, Emma laughed. It came out watery and broken, but real. I love you, she whispered, even though I shouldn't. Even though it's complicated and messy and probably a terrible idea. I love you too. The real you, not the person you pretended to be. Not the ruthless CEO. Just Emma. James leaned his forehead against hers. Come home with me. We'll figure out the rest as we go. I don't have a home anymore. I have a studio apartment above a bookstore. Then we'll start there. Build something new. Something honest. He kissed her softly. No more lies. No more games. Just us. Emma kissed him back, tasting salt and hope and second chances. Just us, she agreed. They left the cafe hand in hand, walking into the Portland rain. Emma's phone rang. She'd turned it back on a week ago, just in case. Rachel's name flashed on the screen. Emma, thank God. I've been trying to reach you. Rachel, I told you I'm done with that life. Oliver Hamilton is dead. Emma stopped walking. What? Heart attack. 3 days ago. And Emma, his will was just released. He left everything to you. That's impossible. It's real. His lawyers have been trying to contact you. Apparently, he changed his will the day after you bankrupted yourself to save James. There's a letter. He said he spent his whole life destroying people, and watching you sacrifice everything made him realize he'd become a monster. He wanted to give you the chance to rebuild. Emma stood in the rain, James's hand warm in hers, Oliver's twisted redemption raining down on her like cosmic irony. How much? She asked. Everything. $8 billion. Quantum dynamics, all of it. Emma, you're a billionaire again. Emma looked at James. His expression was unreadable. What do you want to do? He asked quietly. Emma thought about empires and lies, about loneliness and love, about the woman she'd been and the woman she wanted to become. Give it away, she said. Emma, not all of it. Enough to be comfortable, to help people, to do something meaningful. She squeezed James's hand. I spent 10 years building an empire alone. I don't want to do that anymore. Rachel was silent for a long moment. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Emma looked up at James. I want to build something different, something real. I'll set up the foundation paperwork, Rachel said. Emma, I'm proud of you. Thanks, Rachel. Emma ended the call. The rain was falling harder now, soaking through her thrift store jacket. James pulled her close. You're really giving it away? Most of it. Enough for us to live well. Enough to help your company grow. Enough to fund real innovation instead of corporate warfare. Emma smiled. Is that okay with you? It's more than okay. It's perfect. James kissed her rain-wet face. What do we do now? I don't know. I've never had a normal relationship. I might be terrible at it. Good thing I'm patient. I might lie sometimes. Not about big things, but I've been performing so long, I might not know the difference between truth and performance. Then I'll learn to tell the difference. We'll figure it out together. I'll probably try to fix your company's problems without being asked. I'm counting on it. James grinned. Your business instincts saved Mitchell Industries. I'd be an idiot not to use that. So what, I become your consultant? For real this time? Partner. Equal partnership. Mitchell Rosewood Industries has a nice ring to it. Emma's heart swelled. You'd do that? After everything? Emma, you gave up $12 billion to save my company. You sacrificed everything because you loved me. The least I can do is share the rebuild. He kissed her again. Besides, I tried hating you. It didn't work. Might as well try loving you instead. That's not exactly a romantic declaration. Would you prefer something with more poetry? Because I can workshop it. Emma laughed. Really laughed for the first time in months. No, I prefer honest, even when it's messy. Good, because messy is all I've got. James pulled her toward his rental car. Come on, let's get out of this rain. We have an empire to rebuild. A different kind of empire. The best kind. Built on truth instead of deception. Partnership instead of competition. They drove through Portland's rain-soaked streets, planning a future neither of them had expected. Emma would move back to New York. They'd merge their companies. Build something meaningful together. It wouldn't be easy. There would be challenges, conflicts, moments when old patterns threatened to resurface. Emma would have to learn to be vulnerable. James would have to learn to fully trust again. But for the first time in her life, Emma wasn't afraid of the challenge because she wasn't facing it alone. 6 months later, Emma stood in the conference room of Mitchell Rosewood Industries, presenting their new technology initiative to the board. James sat beside her, their hands linked under the table. The company was thriving. The foundation she'd established was funding education programs, supporting small businesses, making a real difference. And Emma finally felt like herself. Not the ruthless CEO, not the lonely heiress. Just Emma, scarred, imperfect, real. After the meeting, James pulled her aside. Remember that night on the rooftop? Our first real date? Before everything fell apart? Yes, I want a do-over. Same restaurant. Same table. But this time, no lies. No secrets. Just us. Emma smiled. I'd like that. That evening, they sat in the rooftop garden overlooking Manhattan. String lights glowed through ivy. The city glittered below. James raised his wine glass. To second chances. To truth, Emma added. To love that survives despite our best efforts to destroy it. They clinked glasses. And Emma felt something settle in her chest. Peace. Belonging. Home. James reached into his jacket and pulled out a small velvet box. Emma's breath caught. I know it's fast. I know we're still figuring things out. James opened the box, revealing a simple diamond ring. But I also know I want to spend the rest of my life figuring things out with you. Emma Rosewood, will you marry me? Emma looked at the ring, at James, at the life they'd built from ruins and redemption. She thought about the woman who'd walked into a gala 3 months ago, desperately lonely, pretending to be someone else. The woman who'd lost everything and found something more valuable than wealth. Love. Truth. A future worth fighting for. Yes, Emma whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. James slid the ring onto her finger, and Emma knew this was real. Not a performance, not a lie, not a game. This was love, complicated and messy and absolutely perfect. They kissed as the city lights sparkled around them. Two broken people who'd learned that sometimes the truth that remains after everything else burns away is the only truth that matters. The truth of love. Imperfect. Hard-won. Real. And that was enough. The end.